Intuition is a dangerous thing. Humankind has long sought answers, the truth about the stars, ourselves, and all of our reality. Reality defies understanding. Humankind takes shortcuts, leaps in logic, guesswork, and acceptance of truths unproven. Reality defies understanding. We use our greatest asset, our intuition, to see the forest without the trees. Overconfidence is a killer. Like a predator evolved to avoid the notice of its prey, the greatest dangers to humanity lurk above and outside of our perception. Reality defies understanding. Yet we try anyways. Intuition is a dangerous thing. Last time, a whole bunch of shit happened. Where do we even start? You were basically in a microwave shaped like a log cabin outside of this mine, as all of your mines were just cooked repeatedly. You all kept seeing these visions. You weren't sure where it was all coming from, but whatever you were trying, it wasn't working. You kept shouting for help. You tried to get the attention of these soldiers outside that were sort of keeping you in a weird, not quite hostage situation, something strange. They were keeping you inside this building. They did not seem to care that you were calling for help. Eventually, the tensions rose more and more until the owner of the establishment, Richard Dowell, went running and screaming out of the building. His mind had finally broken, and he just had to get out of there. And he was immediately gunned down by all of these extremely heavily armed men outside. Several of you witnessed this and lost a little sanity just from the sheer violence of the act. Moments later, when the dust had settled, when silence was finally in the area again, after all of that loud gunfire, that silence didn't last long, because a terrible screeching sound was accompanied by a bright, glowing, like lightning zapping back and forth between the van and all of the people around it, those heavily armed men, these soldiers or guards or whatever they are. And then up into the air, connecting to this strange crystal structure floating in the air, perfectly still. It's an octahedron up in the sky, like an 8-sided die, like a diamond shape up in the air, maybe about 10 meters in length. Not an incredibly massive structure, but like some sort of large box of some kind up in the sky. And this crystal was the same color, or same set of colors, this rainbow pattern that you saw on the rock that Richard Dowell had found and was keeping, and you had all seen and were sort of investigating inside the gift shop of this mine. This terrible screeching sound that pierced all of your ears and this bright white and blue lightning that connected everything lasted a few seconds, and then this crystal, this great octahedron, fell out of the sky down and into the nearby mines with a great crunching and crashing sound. And again, everyone who saw all of that lost a bit of sanity at witnessing all of that. And soon after, your noses were assaulted by the terrible smell of very, very cooked human flesh. You went to investigate the bodies, and all of these guards were indeed, it looked like, microwaved. They were all just absolutely scorched by this otherworldly energy that had torn through them. It was hard to find any identification on them. Again, they bore no identifying symbols anywhere on any of their combat gear that you could find before. And it was honestly kind of difficult to even pick through their things with how all of their gear was kind of melted together and their flesh was so nasty you couldn't stand it for very long. Some of you looked inside the van, trying to find anything of note in there, and you did find some sort of weird machine that housed a rock very similar to the one you saw inside the gift shop. But all of the control panels scattered throughout the van were completely busted, and the two scientists, it appeared, who bore similar helmets to the guards that were accompanying the van, were also dead in a similar manner. Garrett could not stand this whole situation and decided to take a walk and get some air and hopefully be out of range of the van. He just wanted to get away from the van in case the van was going to do anything else weird while they were investigating it. And as he walked away from that situation, he stumbled across a few small gray beings. These little gray guys. 3 of them. They are not quite mammal-looking in nature, but they're definitely humanoid. Not quite reptilian. They don't have like a tail or anything, but their skin is strange. It doesn't quite fit either pattern. They have no fur. They're completely hairless. Their head shaped like a light bulb with a massive cranium. And big dark eyes that have no iris, no sclera, just completely black eyes. One of them has a small crystal on his forehead, just kind of balanced on top of his head, and they spoke to you. They said, "Please help. Our dog is stuck." And so on and so forth. Several other different small statements like that. They asked you for assistance in a weird, broken English that doesn't quite understand a lot of the grammar, doesn't seem to quite understand plurals and a few other, nuances of English, or even just nuances of many different human languages. These guys are weird. And Garrett was the one to see them. So Garrett, I don't think we did this at the end of last session. Please give me a sanity check before you even respond to them. Alright, that'll be 1 point of sanity loss, my friend. How is that breaking point looking?
My breaking point is 44 and I'm at 47, so I'm still good.
Getting close, but not quite there.
For at least 1 or 2 rolls.
So how do you respond to these things? They're clearly waiting for your response. Now these 3 kind of short guys, they're like maybe 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall each. These little gray guys, what do you do?
So I would probably start freaking out because I was not expecting to see this. How far did I walk from the van?
You're like on the other side of the cabin, basically, like not headed down towards the mine just yet, but kind of right next to the entry to those pathways and stuff. And they're coming up the pathways from the mine towards the cabin, and they happen to reach you first. So you're, I would say maybe 20, 30 feet from the building at this point. You're not super far.
Okay. I would probably respond and say, do you need help lifting something? Because you said someone was stuck.
Yes.
Not very good at strength, but we have someone over here. Do you mind if I go grab some other people to help us?
Proceed.
And I would go to the rest of the group at the car and ask for help.
All right.
And I'm probably shaking and like pointing away, and you can just be, I'm like terrified.
Yes. So before you even turn away, and one of them is responding to you, proceed. The one in the middle that has a crystal on his forehead, it's kind of like another rainbowy type crystal like you've seen many times already tonight. It doesn't appear attached, and as he speaks and kind of reaches out a hand in order to gesture proceed, it tumbles off his head, and he quickly scrambles to pick it up off the ground and then balance it back on top of his head again, and then maintain a nice posture to just hold it up there. It's clear this is something strange and maybe not something it's used to doing. There's something weird about that. So you head back to the rest of the group. I believe, was Rowan still inside the building? Somebody was still inside the building.
I think I'm outside.
Was it William who was still inside the building?
No, William was in the back of the van. He was the one who found the machine.
Yeah, I think everybody else was probably near the van then at that point, it sounds like.
I'm definitely outside because I remember like looking up at the stars and breathing heavily.
Yes, okay, yeah. So everyone else is over by the van.
I remembered I was like trying to search through the front doors and not open the back because that's where the light came from, and then someone opened the back, and so that's when I started walking away from the van.
Yes. So you approach the van. Do you call out before you get there, or do you wait until you're like right up next to him?
I would probably wait until I'm in talking range, where I can just be like, "So guys, we got some friends that need some help."
What kind of friends?
They just started appearing from one of the paths leading down to the mine, and they asked for some help retrieving their dog and some help. They've been saying a lot of things, but the thing that really stuck, they needed help with a dog.
You're not making any sense.
That, I think, breaks through Rowan's state of mental haze. That's one of the most normal things you could ask somebody, is to help get their dog unstuck.
Hmm.
So maybe it doesn't even like break through the haze so much as just like distorts it. You're just like, oh, yeah, well, let's get that dog unstuck.
But who are
Where
these
is it?
guys?
Are these friends from the beyond?
I'm not sure what your definition of beyond is, but they're beyond anything I've ever seen.
Lead the
Oh,
way.
okay.
And I don't know if they followed me around the building or not.
They have followed at a... They're not like following directly behind you, but they've kind of casually moved in your direction as you walked over there. But they seem to be waiting closer to the mine and not getting too close to the van while you negotiate with your allies. They're sort of politely staying back. But if anyone else wants to look in that direction, once Garrett maybe gestures that way, you'd probably see them. In which case,
like to check them out.
sanity check for everyone that looks at them.
Oh boy.
No.
1 point of
that
sanity.
kind of day.
Yes.
That's my breaking point.
Yay!
Yay!
Let's go. All right, so we have a lot of options then, once again. Let's go ahead and just pick that now so we can have it known.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run down the list real quick, and if any of them jump out at you, we can go back into the details. But I think one I didn't even mention last time was depression, but that's an option. Depression, there's paranoia, a sleep disorder, an identity disorder.
I think sleep disorder. After getting his brain cooked and just feeling helpless at the end of it, we'll probably give him nightmares.
Sounds good.
There's going to be no sleep for any of us by the time this is done.
No. Yeah, there will be mechanics even just for witnessing all of this kind of stuff in one night. Even if you didn't get a sleep disorder, there are mechanics for trying to go to sleep for the first time after all this shit.
That's awesome.
Really?
So stacking that on top of a new sleep disorder will be very fun, I'm sure. So sleep disorder sounds good. You can write that in the psychological section, and when it comes up, we can open the mechanics. I've got them on a quick cheat sheet for myself. So, all right. So you all see these little gray guys, and one of them has this crystal on its head. Sapphire, could you give me an anthropology check, since I know you're good at that?
Gladly. Nope.
No.
But nice.
But
Can I
nice.
try one too?
The 69 failure, sad. If you have a decent anthropology, sure. Ooh, good try, good
I
try.
don't have a decent one, so I'm not going to try.
I have one that's okay, but when I roll an 82.
Yeah, so you two look over these weird little guys, and it's clear they're trying to indicate something with this crystal. You're not sure why it seems like such a weird custom to them. Like it's something they're trying. You're not sure if they're communicating something properly to you, or if they have a completely different set of customs that you just have no idea. So, yes, you do check the failed skill. Yes. So you'll improve it later.
I like to run to my car real quick, grab a backpack out of the trunk, and see if I can get the crystal in its housing out of the other car and shove it in my backpack.
Okay. Yeah, so you head back into the van and start to tinker with that machine. So we'll get back to William in a second here. What do the rest of you do?
I'm probably going to go up and like do a grandiose bow and say, "How do you do? Nice to meet you."
They all kind of tilt their heads when you say, "How do you do?" And they look back and forth at each other and converse for a second. And then the one with the crystal on its head looks back at you and says, We work. Please follow.
So Rowan
If I may-
is... Sorry.
If I may ask, what is that crystal for?
I am leader.
Oh, so the crystal just shows that you're a leader?
Yes.
Would I use human to try and figure out if it's lying to me?
This is not a human. That is a good question. It's tricky to try and apply roles based on reading human tells to things that aren't humans. But I think, yeah, go ahead. In this case, I'll just a minus 40% because it's not a human.
Oof, that's gonna be rough.
Yes, it is extremely hard to read these guys. So, yeah, you don't pick up on any weird like tells in the way they said that to you. They just said it very matter-of-factly. In fact, they don't seem to exert a ton of emotion in general, so they're very hard to read.
Okay.
Please, our dog are injured. Must be freed.
So Rowan's gonna stagger toward them, and he's just kind of convincing himself that these are just some weird looking, little people from out of town. Just not gonna look too hard at them. Gonna maybe kind of look a little past them. It's night out. That's nice. That makes this easier. Like, yeah, you said your dog's stuck. Come on, we gotta get your dog unstuck. It's a good
Yes.
thing we were here to help. Things have been real bad if you broke down and there wasn't anybody around. We were on a tour. This is an old mine that's been in the area, and there's some really cool stuff under there. You should sometime come back when you have more time, and it's maybe during the day, and you should check some of it out. They got a nice little gift shop. He's kind of stop stalking when he says gift shop. He just stares into the middle distance for a couple seconds, sort of blinks and shudders and says, "Yeah, so where's your dog?"
Follow. And they gesture back down towards the mine. They kind of look back, waiting to see if any of the rest will follow as well, but...
Yeah, I'm gonna follow.
I'll follow as soon as I get that thing in my bag.
Okay. So during this conversation, William, you've been tinkering in the back of this van, so I'll explain that situation here. There's this kind of glass dome attached to a metal plate and a whole bunch of machinery behind it. Mostly electronic and very science-y radio wave style stuff. It's not mechanical machinery, but yeah, all of that is sort of forms the dividing wall between the front cabin of the van and the main chamber in the back. And so the stone is in the middle of that glass dome, but there's a hole in the bottom of the dome and a little glass tube that leads down to a lead box at the bottom. And once you get over there, you can see that the original stone you all brought with you or found with Richard Dowell was tucked into that lead box underneath the machine. And there is nearby a big red, like a pull handle, not quite like a lever, like a pull in case of emergency style red handle. You can flip up a little cover off of it and then pull that down, and then that drops the other rock down into the lead box as well, and now both pieces are out of the machine, and like the box looks like you could quickly snap closed like two halves of a lid to just seal it closed. But if you don't do that, you can just reach down into the box and pull out both rocks, and then you've got them.
Okay, I'll hit the release lever to drop them, to drop the one into the lead box, and then take the box with both.
Okay. So once it drops down,
that lead shielding looks important.
Yes, yeah, there is the lead shielding down there. Sorry, did you say you did something different with the shielding?
Or no, yeah, I'm following the instructions to safely remove both rocks.
Yeah, so are you sealing the box and then trying to take the box with you, or are you taking them out of the box?
Sealing the box and taking the box.
Okay, gotcha. So it's extremely heavy, but you can do that. You're just gonna have to like slide it out to the edge of the van. There's not enough space in here for you to like get leverage to lift it, but once you get it to the edge of the van, give me a strength ×5 check to see if you can place this thing into another vehicle, or maybe get one of your... Nice. William's very strong. So you managed to, yeah, once you have your feet on solid ground, you manage to get the leverage to pull this thing up and just hold it in front of you, kind of waddle over to your vehicle. And do you like put it in the trunk, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, I'll put it in the trunk for now. Because it seems like, how wide is the path down into the mine? Just in case these are something useful or necessary.
Yeah.
Would the car fit down?
I think it probably would. These mines were like originally designed so that, you know, it wasn't just people coming and going on walking trails into the mine, right? So I think they probably would have made paths big enough that like carts, wagons, things like that could have gone up and down. So yeah, I think a car could fit down there.
All right. And I'll holler over to the rest. I'll be following you in my car. I'm not hauling that entire box all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's got the crystals inside, and I do not want to take them out of that lead shielding, just in case.
I kind of wave a flourish of acknowledgement.
All right. So it sounds like Rowan and Sapphire are on board to follow the little guys. Is Garrett also? And then William?
Yeah, I probably would have gone to my car because I probably had a backpack with like a flashlight and other assorted goods that I don't really know what he would have packed.
Okay.
So I'd probably get the backpack.
You grab that stuff. So you got your backpack with a few other random things that might be useful. And then once the three of you are gathered and William starts up his car and pulls it over, the little guys will start very quickly heading down towards the mine. They're not like sprinting, and they're very carefully trying to avoid tripping over rocks and things, but they are moving at quite a brisk pace for their size. It's clear that they really want to get their dog out of whatever situation it's in right now. So you all make your way down to the mine. It doesn't sound like anyone had other plans. So, just inside the entrance to the mine, actually maybe a good 100 feet or so within the main like tunnel of the mine that you were walking down earlier as part of the tour with Richard Dowell, you start to see that glowing rainbow color again in the distance. It looks like this thing, even though it crashed in the direction of the mine, managed to alter its direction before hitting the ground outside the mine and like try to pull up a little bit, and it kind of coasted into the mine a little bit before eventually hitting the ground and crunching and crashing. However, even though the like floor of the mine, the ground here, is all torn up and there are these deep grooves in it where the corners of this octahedron scraped across the ground, and there's rocks and dirt and rubble everywhere. There's dust kicked up in the air in here, and it's kind of hard to breathe a little bit because of that. The actual surface of the octahedron, that rainbow color stuff, appears completely unharmed. It's perfectly smooth still on all sides, just like the rock you found earlier with its perfectly smooth surface. And the little gray guys are heading right for the octahedron.
I'd probably like put my shawl over my face to kind of filter some of the air,
Hmm.
and follow and say, "What does your dog look like?"
You will see.
You know, this kind of thing's really why you need to keep your dog on a leash if you don't know the area, because they can just get like anywhere, and then you don't know what's gonna happen, and then this kind of thing happens.
Please follow.
William just kind of looks over at him with side eye, like, does he really think this thing is a dog?
Yeah, so William, did you bring your car down to the mine entrance and then park it there kind of vibe, or
Trying to get it as far down into wherever they're leading us as I can get it.
Okay, yeah. So once you get to the entrance of the mine, it starts becoming a lot trickier to try and drive over stuff, especially where the octahedron scraped like big gouges into the rock and stuff, and there's rubble everywhere. So you probably can't
Alright.
get it too much farther into the mine than like just the entrance. But
Okay. I'll just bring his backpack out of his trunk then. And the lead box is there for if we need it.
all right.
What would I use to like be really like keeping an eye out for anything moving, anything
I think
like looking
alertness.
for this dog?
Alertness would probably make the most sense to me. Yeah.
Oof.
Fortunate. You get to check that one off for improvement later. That's nice.
Can I also look around?
Sure,
use
yeah.
awareness?
Everybody give me alertness if you want to. That's fine with me.
Oof.
Technically, for situations like this, I should just have the highest person roll, but I think for this case, it's
Gotcha.
fine. So it looks like Garrett was the only one to notice anything anyways, but you don't notice anything at the moment, I will say, but I will keep that roll in mind for the near future here. So at the moment, everything looks normal. You're just in this dusty cavern. And the gray dudes keep walking up to this octahedron thing. Do you follow them all the way to it, or do you stop a little short of it? What's the plan here?
I'll keep following our little friends.
I'm gonna stop about like 10 feet short.
Okay.
I'll probably stop just behind Sapphire.
So as you get closer, and these little guys get up to the edge of it, they don't appear to make any sign. Like they don't move anything. They don't touch the surface anywhere. But as if by magic, like a hole just kind of appears in one of the sides as they approach this object, like as if there was a pinprick in the surface that just expanded into a hole about 2 meters wide, like a diameter of 2 meters. This large hole that all of you should be able to easily fit into. And the opening reveals beyond it the strange interior, which looks like the floor is made of packed dirt. Looks like the walls are sort of rock and dirt as well. These weird kind of organic-y looking materials that don't look artificially created. It's a strange interior to this weird object that has been opened up. And these little guys, these little gray guys, they walk into there immediately, occasionally just turning around to look at you and seeing your progress. William, with your, sorry, it was Garrett who got the success on the roll. Garrett, your alertness leads you to see that you saw the structure before up in the air. It couldn't have been more than 10 meters long entirely. But looking at this weird opening in the side here, it definitely goes deeper than that. And so whatever this thing is, it's bigger on the inside. That doesn't make any sense to you. Please roll me sanity.
Oh, good. Just
1 point
take
of
my
sanity.
sanity away, Jordan. Good,
We don't
another
need it
one.
where this-
another one.
Do we all need to roll sanity or just Garrett because he noticed?
Yeah, so Garrett noticed. So if Garrett lets everyone else know that, then you would all roll sanity here. But so Garrett immediately loses sanity, but the rest of you haven't noticed yet.
Okay, good. I can take that back.
Yes, so you can take that point back.
I misheard. I thought that was everybody.
No worries. I did say William at first incorrectly, so that's on me. Cool. So do you all head into this opening, this 2-meter
Yeah,
hole?
but before we do anything, I would probably just sit there and look and be like, huh,
Yeah. It doesn't make
that's...
Euclidean sense.
I would just be like, huh, that's weird. And then not expand on it.
I would probably like go up and like poke my head in.
All right. So you walk up, and it doesn't feel any different going through the hole. Like, it just feels like you entered a cave, basically.
I look behind me to make sure the exit's still there.
Yep.
I'm still outside too, just looking suspiciously at the surface.
Yes. So it is
Just
that strange.
Look over at Sapphire and like, how do we know it's not going to close up behind us?
I guess we don't.
He just grimaces and trudges in.
There's that sense of adventure.
I don't like this.
Is anyone staying outside, or are you all heading in?
We should probably have someone outside in case things go wrong.
Is it so mind-blowing that I would...
That's up to you, because it looks like a cave. You're like in a cave, standing in front of a big rainbow wall that also has another cave within it, and it doesn't make any sense to you. It does just look like a cave, though. It doesn't look like it bends space in any weird way inside. So that's entirely...
Things right, and I'm pretty decent at that.
Yeah, you need someone to help move things, potentially, yeah. You are pretty strong.
Alright, I just got back, sorry.
No worries.
We were debating, do we leave somebody outside to keep watch, or do we all go in?
Well, you think there's gonna be like a cave-in?
Yeah, just in case there's a cave-in and we need someone to go get help.
I can stay outside. I'm kind of getting a weird feeling of the inside, so...
Inspiring a lot of
Well,
confidence
yeah,
in
if you
us.
don't feel comfortable, don't worry about going in. I think we got plenty of people.
All right, you go ahead and keep an eye out, I guess. Here, reach into his bag. I don't know if it'll work. Hands him a walkie-talkie. This way we can keep in touch.
Which channel are you going to be on?
3.
Alright, click the radio over to channel 3 as well.
Go stepping in and around a corner, kind of click it. Can you hear me?
It does come through over the radio correctly, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I guess we'll proceed inside then. Sapphire, Rowan, I guess let's get going. Ugh,
Yeah, let's get going.
I don't like this.
So the 3 of you enter this structure.
How dark did you say it was in here? Sorry.
That is a good question. It does have a bit of like the immediate entrance here is pretty dark. But so you probably pull out a flashlight or something, I would imagine. But after you start walking in a little bit, it does appear there's some lights inside that start to take over the darkness, and so you might put the flashlight back away. You eventually come up upon an intersection of tunnels. There's one that keeps on going the direction you're heading, but and I say eventually, it's like within a minute. Like you round a bend, it's just a few dozen feet of walking into the place. You find this intersection. The tunnel keeps going in the direction it's going, but it also has a path to the left and to the right, and there are light coming from all 3 paths here, to ahead of you and from the left and right. You can see down on the left, there is like a luminous white room at the end of the path. Off to the right, there is a room that sort of has like cream colored light coming from it. but it's hard to see what's in either of these rooms without getting any closer. The room in front of you appears to have that sort of strange... it's not quite the same rainbow light you've been seeing, but it's a light that's changing in color, just constantly changing in hue. Like gamer RGB, just changing colors, all the colors of the rainbow.
Is that the one the little guys are going down?
Yeah, they're heading down the main tunnel.
I'm gonna follow.
We'll just radio. You're gonna come. If you have to follow us in here, there's a intersection. We're going down the middle tunnel.
Assuming that goes through, I will say copy.
All right. Yeah, it does indeed. And so you all continue down, unless either of you are tempted by unless any of you are tempted by the other rooms, you all head down the middle pathway following the little guys. Eventually, you come upon a spherical room at the end of one of these tunnels. Everything in here appears to be made of clay. It's this, very smooth surfaces that are like a little bit wet. It's not like dried, maintained clay. It's like natural clay. There's a very large chunk on the opposite wall that's sort of peeled off, and it looks like it used to be like a circle structure against the wall there, but it's kind of cracked and peeled away, and part of the room is kind of caved in. And there is an absolutely hideous creature on the ground, pinned by part of this clay that is sort of slumped over onto it. Creature is about 2 meters long. It's not much bigger than a human, but it's built a lot more like a crab. It's composed of a sponge-like material covered with irregularly spaced bits of chitinous exoskeleton. What appears to be the head continually changes colors from red to blue and back again, and this just slow pulsing light. It's just this strange substance that doesn't make any physical sense, kind of bubbling and boiling through space as if it has no sense of gravity. That's what makes up its head and part of the sponginess of its body. Just this non-physical... the substance doesn't obey the laws of physics. It has no apparent teeth or claws. It's just this weird crab with like a light bulb head.
Does it hurt to look at?
It does indeed. Please give me a sanity check.
I was afraid of that. I'm just gonna look at it and
Who?
All right. On a success, that is still 1 point of sanity loss. On a failure, it's 1d4.
That's a it's a crab. It's an interesting dog.
The creature makes a weird sound that sounds eerily like a recording of a dog whimpering. Like it almost makes a staticky like click sound, and then the sound of a dog whimpering plays, and then it like staticky clicks off again. It all sounds like it's coming through a speaker. But it's definitely coming from this creature. It's just weird, bubbly, staticky, like really shitty speakers sound that it's giving off.
Can I look for the thing that's making the sound?
It appears to be the creature itself.
Yeah,
and
but
it just
like,
keeps
where?
playing its head. But it just keeps playing this exact same whimpering sound over and over again.
You want to get working? Then I guess.
That's not a dog.
Our dog.
I don't think they have a word. It's a close word to.
Does that look like anything like a dog to you?
It doesn't need to be a real dog. It's a dog to them.
Are you in on this?
One of them.
What's going on?
One of them falls to the floor, clutching its side and just rolling back and forth. And the one that had the crystal on its head points down and then like holds its hands up to its forehead in like a sign of dismay and says like, We cease. We cease. Please help. Please help.
Yeah, that they're whatever this is, it's important to them, and it's like a family member, clearly. So let's get moving this stuff.
Even if this thing is clearly not a dog, it is clear enough that it's some kind of animal that's in pain that I can find it in my heart to help shove some of this stuff out of the way.
All right. So is it Rowan and William helping? Is Sapphire also helping?
I mean, I'm very weak, but I'll certainly help.
All right. So the three of you, I won't make you roll for it. With the three of your combined effort here, you managed to tip this weird clay structure up and away from you. And your hands do kind of sink into a little bit. It does feel like clay to your hands too, and you get some of that clay water on your hands. Basically, it kind of stains your hands a little bit. You lift this thing up, and it's kind of flopping out of the way. So that's why it took three of you to kind of take different sections of it and pull on different parts of it, so it doesn't just bend and break again. But you do lift the thing up, and then this creature, this weird insectoid crustacean thing, skitters out from underneath, and the lights go completely out immediately. Suddenly, all three of you feel hands on your back as a set of hands grabs like underneath your armpits for each of you. And we are entering initiative order.
Splendid.
So, can I get everyone's dexterity scores?
Scores or a roll?
Scores. So in this system, we just compare dexterity scores.
Gotcha.
Okay, I've got 10.
10.
11.
15.
So Garrett is outside, but maybe if somebody calls on the radio, you'll be in the... So it was 10, 10, and 11 for Rowan, right?
Correct.
All right. And let me just make sure I get stuff down here. Apologies when we get all of this going. Actually, does this work? No. Okay. Let's see if I could use Foundry for this, but I don't think it's going to matter right now. So, let me pull up another thing here. Apologies, these stat blocks are kind of
No
separated. See if they're closer together. That's fine. We can. So, the first turn to happen here is actually the scurrying of the strange crustacean thing, the weird, nonsensical being. It almost seems to like overlap with itself in places, like it's not completely constrained by 3 dimensions. Weird. But it scutters out and then the lights go out. So you're all currently in the dark. Next thing that happens is actually, I described you all getting grabbed. But Rowan, you actually, before you feel the pressure on your back, the lights go out, you have just a very, very split second before the hands actually close pressure around you. What do you want to do here?
I scream.
Fair.
I'm going to try to lash out and punch if possible.
All right, give me unarmed combat.
Why?
That's not great.
Why?
That is, yeah, indeed a critical failure. So you turn to punch out at something behind you, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, instead... Oh, this is tricky. It's in the dark. I think you just trip. So you are going to try and spin around and punch, and instead you kind of slip on some of the slick clay in this room, and you just fall flat on your back. It's now dark. You're on your ass. These things are still trying to grab down at you, and this has been your turn. Oh boy. So, next up, little gray guys all get to go, and they are all going to attempt to grab you. So, they are all going to roll. Yes, they're all going to roll. There we go. D100 in here. One of them manages to actually grab you. The other two, you're struggling too much. So I'm going to say they managed to grab Sapphire. Just in name order on the list here, going down the list from the one that the first one managed to succeed. So that one grabs Sapphire, but the other two of you, Rowan and William, you managed to kind of fight back and pull the hands away from you and manage to keep from being like held. But Sapphire, you feel these two hands, and you saw these creatures before. They were spindly and thin and half your height, but still their hands seem to crush with this incredible grip strength. And you are going to take 3 points of damage as you just feel like maybe not bones cracking yet, but just incredible pain, and it'll definitely leave like a really, really harsh bruise as these hands just grip onto your arms. Then it is William's turn.
Okay. Now, do I have enough time, I guess, to radio? They've turned on us. We need help. Bring weapons, and then pull out my flashlight and aim it and take a shot at dude what tried to grab me.
So you can do basically one thing per turn. So
Okay.
if you ever get to an and, it's probably another turn potentially, unless it's something really quick.
Okay, and I probably have to drop the radio for the thing anyway. So
Yeah. So and it's currently dark in here. You don't have any lights. So if you want to get a light out, that could be important. But
flashlight is more important. So just slide the radio into my belt or whatever. Pull up my flashlight, aim and shoot.
all right. So you click the radio down. You pull out the flashlight. And yeah, did you had a pistol, right?
Yeah.
I think pulling out the radio and the pistol and the flashlight, that's probably quick enough. They're both one-handed things. You can get both out. So you click on the flashlight, you aim the gun, and go ahead and give me a firearms roll. All right.
Nice.
And this was just a light pistol.
Yeah, it's a 9mm.
All right. So that is 1d8 of damage. Ooh, very nice.
That's big damage.
So you look at this creature with its big bulbous head, and you see that as a target. You pull back the pistol, and this little gray guy that led you in here, we'll say this is the one that had the crystal on his head. You fire, you hit that crystal with the bullet, and it just embeds directly inwards, and the thing rolls backwards, screaming, clutching at its face, and it's on the ground, like writhing in pain and scratching at itself. And yeah, I think that's your turn.
Yep.
Sapphire, you are up. You're currently being like crushed and lifted by this little gray guy.
I am going to slam my head backwards as hard as I can into it.
All right, give me unarmed combat. Oh no!
Oh no!
Lovely.
So perhaps you go to do a headbutt.
Never try unarmed combat in this game.
Yes, you go to try and headbutt it basically, but you don't know the anatomy of these things. You don't know where a weak spot to aim for with your head would be, and so you actually hit what is a very strong part of their head, like a thick part of the skull, and it just hits your own head, and you're going to take 1 extra point of damage from that. As your skull was the weaker object in this scenario.
All right.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Are the lights everywhere out, or is it just the ones in the room where they are?
Currently, from your perspective, nothing has changed.
Okay.
So you're just waiting on another status update from inside.
Would he have heard the scream?
Or the gunshot?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. The scream and the gunshot. So when it gets back around to Garrett's turn, you have a 15?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually you right now then. So you're up, you heard the gunshot, and it's probably going to take your whole turn to like run into the room if that sounds good to you. But you just start booking it in, or are you going to do something else instead of booking it in?
I would definitely at least try to have the flashlight on.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that makes sense.
if possible, I would try to like grab a rock or something off the ground that I could use to bludgeon.
Okay, yeah, you can. I'll say that's fine for one turn. So you just scoop up the nearest rock. You're not picky about it. Turn on the flashlight and then book it into this thing, trying to figure out what has gone wrong here. So that takes up your turn to rush into the room, and next round you'll start the round with entering the room. All right. So. The next thing that happens is you barely see, moving in the dim light in the room, that the flashlight is casting like a beam of light that you can see clearly in, and then there's some scattered light from where the flashlight is hit that's lighting up the rest of the room a little bit, but it's not very easy to see. You see that weird, misshapen blob of a creature that's kind of like a crab skitter up the ceiling, down and towards the tunnel that leads out of the room, and it is just booking it out of there. Rowan, it is your turn.
I'm gonna scream and run.
All right, screaming and running out of the room.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in a panic and probably can't remember the way back outside, but that's where I'm trying to go.
Makes sense. So you run directly after this weird thing, which is also heading outside. Then little gray guys are gonna go, and the one that was on Rowan, who Rowan escaped from before, is going to chase after Rowan and attempt to tackle you.
That poor farm boy.
That poor farm boy.
Can I try to dodge?
You
I'm sure
can
I can't
indeed.
see it coming since I'm running away and he's behind me.
You could still attempt a dodge check, but it will consume your next turn, is how that works.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can either dodge, you could even fight back with an unarmed combat if you want to hurt it instead, but...
I'm just gonna try to dodge.
Alright, sounds good. You can definitely try to dodge. So, it is going to try and get to you. So, same thing as before. It also fails. So, you both fail. That ends up with nothing happening. It just fails to tackle you in the first place. And so you continue out and away of the room. And do you have a flashlight on, or are you just in the dark?
I'm in the dark, I believe.
All right, so you can hear this weird squelching, skittering sound ahead of you in the dark, but you're about the same speed. You're just both running out of the room here, and you're just trying to escape this hell. The other little gray guy, who is on Sapphire, is going to attempt to restrict even further and try to like it's really, it doesn't appear to have any weapons on it, but it's absolutely trying to like keep you from moving away from it and also like break you if it can. So it's gonna go ahead and roll that. I'm gonna give it a +20 because it has you in its grasp. It wasn't enough, so it's just still got you tightly, Sapphire, but it's not doing any more harm than it's already done. You've still got that extremely painful like pinching of its hands around your arms, but it's not managing to like break bone yet. And now it is William's turn.
So the guy that I shot, he's just kind of out of it for now.
Yeah, and he appears to be like bleeding out onto the floor.
Okay.
Major head trauma.
Look over at the one holding Sapphire, holster my pistol, pull my crowbar back out, and try and crack it in the back of the head.
All right. That sounds like there's an armed combat, right? There's unarmed combat and like melee weapons or something like that.
Let's see.
Yeah,
yes, there's some melee weapons.
melee weapons.
Yeah, melee weapons.
So you go to swing out at it, and it just notices your swing coming and kind of shimmies its weight around. So it doesn't hit Sapphire with your crowbar, but it does shimmy around to the other side of Sapphire, and the crowbar just swings through the air, inches from Sapphire's head. And then it is Sapphire's turn. You've been spun around to face William, who almost hit you with a crowbar, but the other thing still has you in its grasp.
Same as before, just elbows, head flailing, trying to hit a soft spot so it'll drop me.
Okay.
At
You
least
try
it's
to-
not a critical this time.
That's true. You try to break free, but you're just not able to break its grip. Now that it's got its like hands so tightly around your arm that it can like basically touch fingers, it's really hard to try and wriggle free. Got these long, slender fingers that have a unnaturally strong grasp. And then Garrett, you're heading down the tunnel when you hear this weird skittering sound, and around a bend comes that creature I described to everyone else already. Give me a sanity check as your flashlight glances over it. Alright, you still take 1 point of sanity loss upon seeing this strange creature skittering towards you at high speed. But what do you do?
Do I see the people running behind it?
You would probably see a little ways behind it. Actually, not yet, I don't think, because Rowan was also coming down, but this thing just came around a bend, and Rowan hasn't come around the bend yet.
If it does not stop to do anything, I would continue trying to get to the room where the humans are.
So it's currently, you're both in a narrow tunnel running at each other. Do you want to, like, step to the side and let it pass? Do you want to try and dodge it? Like, what's your plan here?
Oh, I thought you said it was running on the ceiling.
It kind of is, but the ceiling is only about 2 meters tall, and so there's not a lot of room. Like, it's on the ceiling, but its head comes down to almost the floor, right? Like, it's...
I would
Yeah.
probably try to get out of the way and let it go by.
Okay, go ahead and roll dodge for me, then. Ooh, a failure. Okay. So it is going to take a... going to take a swipe at you as it goes. Let's see. 100. A 3. Okay, that's a very... So you attempt to dodge out of the way, and it just whips out one of its claws towards you, and kind of, like, its claw almost, like, opens up as it reaches out towards you, and you just feel, like, a pierce on your neck really quick, because it just snaps out, and pierces your neck very quickly with something, and then continues running down past you.
That's not good.
As something just got injected into you. And you completely black out.
Ooh, that's fun.
So, then we are back to Rowan. You're running down the hall, and you see Garrett in the hall. Garrett, who is conscious.
I just scream, "Monsters! Monsters!" I'm just gonna try to run past him.
So, Garrett, this is a little weird. We're going to get a little weird with it right now, okay? You ready for this?
Do I have to roll a combat against him?
You don't. But here's the situation for you now. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your body is telling you it is time for violence. It is time to escape. All of your fight or flight senses are triggering all at once here, all of your instincts. However, you have no memories at the moment. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you are. All you know is you must kill, you must escape. You are in a frantic state. No memory is sticking to your mind at the moment. What do you do?
Well, I have a rock in my hand and I'm gonna swing.
All right, go ahead and give me melee weapons then. Rowan potentially could dodge.
Didn't I dodge last time, so I can't do anything?
Oh,
this
correct. So you actually still would be dodging, but I think your dodge roll
time?
failed.
Okay.
So you keep the roll from last time, and you continue to dodge until you have another turn to change that. So you both failed though. So Rowan, as you're running by and you shout this to Garrett, Garrett has this wild look in his eyes, and he just swings a rock at you wildly and misses. I'm assuming you keep running, but you could change course if you want to.
I keep running.
Okay, so you keep running
I think
out
it's
of there.
fair for me to assume that he is. I mean, I'm not thinking much, but I just ran at him in the dark. I don't think I can blame him for that.
Absolutely. Back in the spherical chamber that the rest of you are in, the gray guy that was chasing Rowan spins on you all, and is going to produce like an object. It reaches down into the floor and pulls something out, and it just throws this like silvery sphere. You point your flashlight over at him to see what he's doing, and he throws this metal glinting silvery sphere towards you all. And as it does, let's see. I need to make sure I get the roll on this right. Yes, okay. It fails. So it throws this thing at all of you, but it just goes high, and it sticks to the ceiling over your heads. Maybe this little gray guy had some clay on his fingers or something from digging this thing up from the ground, and it just stuck and went at the wrong angle. But you can see where it impacted the ceiling. There's like these weird little silvery particles kind of spinning around it in all directions, and you're not sure what the fuck that's doing, but it cannot be good for you. You do not want to get hit by that.
Yep. So seeing that, Williams, sorry, Sapphire, I'll come back for you. Maybe he hands her the crowbar, pulls his gun back out.
And there's one more guy still in the room alive who will act just before you. But you do say that, you pull the gun back out, and the one that is with Sapphire is going to once again try to break her arms before William can quite get into act. And there, it finally manages to. Well, let's see how the roll goes first. It does minimum damage. Okay. What does 1 point of damage bring you to, Sapphire, out of your maximum?
7 out of 12.
7 out of 12, okay. I would say if you get to half, that is when the force of this grip will break your arms. So at this point, it's still just getting more intense, and you can start to feel this pressure on your bones that you know is not good. You need to get out of this now. Maybe you scream in pain? I'll leave that up to you.
Is it my turn now?
It is William's turn, but yes. Okay. So it's William's turn. William.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hands her the crowbar, pulls his gun back out, and shoots at the guy throwing shit at us.
All right. Give me a firearms check.
Who?
As you draw the gun, you just don't quite get it up and aim it fully properly. You're panicking a little bit, and you shoot it before you're fully locked in, and the bullet just goes wide, ricochets into the wall a little bit, and just sticks into the clay. And there's that bright flash of light from the muzzle in the room. Briefly, the loud sound echoes off the wall, but other than damage to your senses, nothing was done here. Sapphire, you are being crushed. What do you do?
I'm gonna bite the guy's hands on my shoulder.
Okay. Sounds good. No. So you try your best. You start biting at this flesh, and it tastes really weird. The first thing you taste is the earthy like clay that is the coating its hands and stuff. Then the flesh itself is kind of slimy, and it tastes very bitter and kind of salty, and it's bad. It's not a good flavor at all. And but you muscle through it. It's almost like it almost tastes like very chemically, like it's just so intensely bitter. And so you probably spit that right out, but you don't manage to do any damage with your teeth, unfortunately. And this thing maybe grunts in pain a little bit, but does not release you. So, we're back to Garrett. You don't even remember that somebody just passed you by. You are completely unable to form new memories right now. Would you, in your opinion, Garrett, if he was faced with a complete fight or flight situation, would he fight or would he flee? The pure instinct.
Flee.
All right, so Garrett just starts running. And at this point, it is back to Rowan.
Gonna try to continue running outside.
All right. Finally, you get out of this structure, out into the open, not quite clean air. It's quite dusty out here still, but you can see down the tunnel the moonlight in the distance. And as you exit the structure, and you can see the vehicle almost blocking the entrance in the distance that William parked there earlier, the light of the sky and the moon coming down from above, you see this silhouette, this unnatural silhouette, just clamber up out of the cave and escape. You just barely catch a glimpse of it as it leaves. And then we've got the little guys in the spherical chamber with poor old Sapphire and William. The one with that was throwing things earlier is going to instead pull out a what looks to be a gun. It doesn't look like any gun you've ever seen, and you don't see a barrel on it, but it is clearly some kind of weird weapon or tool. But to your mind, in this instance of violence, you cannot interpret it as anything other than a gun. And it points it at William. And then it's going to roll some dice.
Is this something I can dodge? And if I dodge, can I shoot at it next turn?
You can absolutely dodge, yes. Dodge under the dodge action under firearms. You normally can't dodge bullets, but you can essentially skitter for cover, like just run for cover and hope to get there before the trigger is pulled. However, it's gonna crit fail. So
I succeeded anyway.
Excellent. So you succeeded. That it pulls out this tool, and you just like roll for cover behind that structure you were trying to lift earlier. You just kind of hop onto the other side of it and duck down behind it. And this guy pulls out his little tool, and I think with a crit fail, I don't think I can make any other interpretation than he gets himself with it. So maybe he pulls it out, and like as he's pulling it out, he shoots himself in the foot with it as he's trying to raise it. And you just see him like writhe on the ground and grip at his foot, and he's clearly just out of it on the floor for now. William, it took your turn to dodge. And Sapphire, I hate to say, this thing is going to try and crush your arms once again.
All right.
However, it fails. So it's still intense pressure, but you've got a chance here. What do you do?
I mean, I hate to say it, but my unarmed combat is my best combat.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
You'll get lucky eventually, right?
gonna try kicking it. Aim for the knees, see if I can get it to fall.
No, unlucky.
Nope.
So you're just
No
locked.
lucky.
Yeah, you're just locked in the struggle, and it's quite bad. Garrett, you exit the cave, but you're basically completely blacked out right now. You're not forming any new memories, and Garrett will not remember any of this later. So you're just kind of acting on pure instinct right now. But Rowan, Garrett might catch up to you at this point if you're still making your way out of the tunnel. So a crazed man is chasing you out of the chamber.
Can I run faster?
Absolutely. If we want to, I feel like athletics would make sense if you just want to try and get some extra pace ahead of him here. Nice. So yeah, you see this crazed man coming, and you just pick up the pace, and Rowan has never sprinted faster in his entire life. You put your all into the sprint and just get down this tunnel. Like the sweat starts to build up. You are panicking. You get the fuck out of there. And then we're going to see if this thing finally breaks Sapphire's arms. It does not. William and Sapphire, you're in the room. This other gray guy is kind of writhing on the floor, and the other one that you shot earlier is already dead. And then there's finally the last one holding onto Sapphire.
Okay. I'm gonna get closer and try and just get within a range. He's risking just shooting this thing, even though it's holding her. He already gave her his weapon, so. And
All right.
I'm better at firearms than I am with. Well, no, I could try unarmed combat. I could just try and tear it off of her.
You do what your character would do.
He's had success shooting one already, so he's going to try and shoot it.
There you go. Nice.
Kablam.
So you shoot this thing. Go ahead and roll a d8 of damage. Oh, not great. So you manage to take aim at it and fire, but it's you're shooting into like melee combat where they're both struggling against each other, and even though your aim was true at first, it kind of pushes Sapphire down while trying to get better leverage over her, and you just kind of graze the back like along one of its arms, like just down underneath its elbow, and it scrapes from the shoulder to the elbow, and it screams in pain, but it doesn't appear to have done too much to it. It's still gripping onto Sapphire. Sapphire, what do you do?
Unarmed combat. I'm gonna try bashing its nose in with my head.
All right.
Yay!
Finally.
Did something, finally.
Woo. So you reel back and you go to, I'm assuming the goal is here to escape.
Yeah, I mean, if I can hurt it along the way, definitely, but first things first, get out.
So I think it is normally an unarmed combat to escape from a grapple. So you manage to finally break free of this thing. You've been trying different places, hitting it on the shoulder, on the head, on the chest, and finally you just headbutt it right on the nose, which is funny because these things don't actually appear to have like. Or I guess the picture I sent does. You know, I was imagining them to not have noses, but yes, they have noses now because the picture I sent does. You hit that nose and you just feel the nose break underneath your forehead, and it reels back, it releases your arms and goes to like clutch at its face, and you feel these weird squeals of pain, almost pig-like squeals that it's releasing as it just clutches at its face. At this point, I think Garrett and Rowan are just running out of the tunnel, so we'll just show another quick scene of them sprinting down the tunnel, but there's not much else to do. So we're back to William. You see this gray dude clutching its face, and you've got a chance to act here.
Okay, I'm gonna shoot at it in its face.
All right, roll firearms. Roll damage. You pull back. You finally, it's no longer like squirming around so much. It's clutching its face and moving a little bit, but it's moving more predictably now that it's not tussling with somebody. And you pull back, shoot directly into its head, and it falls over and still kind of twitches around on the ground for a little bit. Like it's like almost like an insect won't completely die, you know, at first, but it's on the ground writhing, but no longer aggressive. I assume you both get the fuck out?
Yes.
He'll try and grab the tool the other one had that shot itself in the foot on the way.
Okay, it's still in its grip, but you could try to roll strength on your way out if you want.
Yeah.
All right, so you pry its fingers out of this weird tool, and you take it with you. And you're just, heading for the exit.
Yep. And,
so,
yeah.
Rowan and Garrett, once you guys get to the exit of the mines, back out into the fresh air, and there's no longer a threat in sight, I imagine your adrenaline will still be pumping. So what do you want to do once you get out there?
Keep running.
All right, running into the woods towards your vehicles.
Yeah, I think into the woods. I feel like there's not much brain processing happening at the moment.
Fair enough.
Poor guy.
So I think, Rowan, there is a mechanic for this kind of situation where you're just fleeing anything and everything.
Gotcha.
I believe you run, I think it's a number of minutes equal to your Constitution modifier or something, not Constitution modifier, to your Constitution score, and you just book it just out of the way. So you essentially run until your body just won't let you run anymore, from like, you know, because you're not giving yourself a break, you're not slowing down your pace, you're just pushing your body with absolute adrenaline past its limits to run just for an amount of time at full speed. And so you just run out into the woods for a while. Garrett, is this a similar situation for you, or do you calm down once you get out there? You still don't remember anything. In fact, you get out into the open air and you don't even remember running down a tunnel just a second ago.
So, do I at least remember why I was here, or is it like all of my past memories are gone?
You don't know who you are, you don't know why you're here, you don't know where you are. All you know is your adrenaline is going crazy.
I would probably just be running on a path.
All right, so like running, are you following a path not into the woods, or like there's no paths into the woods? Do you run, take the path up towards the log cabin, or
I would at least take the civilized path towards the cabin.
Okay. So while Rowan went off into the woods, Garrett stuck to civilization and is just running basically towards the road. And a little bit later, as your other teammates have scattered, William and Sapphire, you guys make it out of the cave. And it appears the door to this structure remained open while you were in there, but once you leave, it closes behind you. And you manage to make it down the tunnel towards your vehicle.
Probably, if I have the crowbar, I'd be swinging the crowbar at stuff on my way out, just like trying to break their ship.
Okay, so yeah, just hitting walls. The inside walls are kind of like packed to dirt and like rock and stuff, but you just kind of cling the crowbar around at random stuff, hoping it does something.
Yeah, I mean, if I know it's more clay-like, I'll use the like forked end to just like scrape as I go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just
So-
kind of angry, trying to do what I can to make it so they can't use this place again.
So you all make it to the end of the tunnel, and William's vehicle is there. Are you getting in the vehicle? Or are you just running to get out of here in general? What's the idea here?
I'm getting in the car. And I'm yelling at Sapphire, get in the car, get in the car!
Yeah, I get in the car, make sure I have my purse.
Yep. Everything appears to be there. You're kind of covered in clay, but otherwise, none of your things were taken. You didn't drop anything.
Okay, I will drop the shawl and like all of my outer layers, so I'll just be wearing like a summer dress, but hopefully I will be less muddy.
All right. Yeah, it was grabbing at your shoulders. So if you're wearing a shawl, that probably caught most of the mud from its hands.
Yeah, basically as much of my outer, because I was bundled in layers, like kind of ethereal, new agey. So basically all of the extra stuff is gone, and it's just me and hiking boots and a dress.
Absolutely. So you two are getting into the vehicle. Can everybody give me a sanity test, please? As you all just escaped a violent situation, and that will have an impact on your brain.
I barely made that shit.
So this will be 1 point of sanity loss on a failure, 0 on a success. And you can mark 1 check on the violence category. Actually, I should say, if you've reached your breaking point already, when you reach your breaking point, you should reset all of your checkboxes on those 3 checkboxes for the 2 categories in the psychological, the helplessness and violence. So,
Gotcha.
if you need to reset those, and then afterwards you can set 1 check on violence.
Okay, so what did the check on helplessness do? Nothing?
So if you reach 3 checks before reaching a breaking point, like between 2 breaking points, if you get all 3 checks, then your mind becomes so used to that kind of situation that it no longer bothers you going forward. So like you could encounter enough violence that you become a psychopath and don't care about violence anymore, basically. Or you could be in enough situations where you're helpless that your mind stops caring about being helpless, and you like lose that anxiety response entirely.
Okay, but since I didn't lose any sanity, I don't put any check marks.
Correct. Yeah, only on a failure. For violence and helplessness, you get to check those boxes. For unnatural, you don't check anything for that.
Okay.
Cannot get used to that.
So, do I check off the violence sanity thing before? Because I just reached my breaking point.
It would be before, yes. So you would actually just reset it because it wouldn't matter because you hit your breaking point.
That I did.
So we'll go over that. Let's actually go over that right now. So same kind of options as before. Actually, this one was from violence. The last tick that set Garrett back was violence. So options for violence are addiction, depression, intermittent explosive disorder, lagirophobia, which is the fear of loud noises, paranoia, PTSD, a sleep disorder, a totemic compulsion, so you're fixated on a particular object present during the trauma, I think that's all of them for violence. If any of those jumped out at you, I can read them again.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how long it is before I start making memories, because that
Yeah, you don't know.
could play into it.
We can choose once your memories start ticking again. That makes sense.
I mean, I like the one that's like focusing on an object, because I've been holding a flashlight this entire time, and it's like the
Ooh.
one thing that's in my hand.
I love that. If you are obsessed with a flashlight, that's such a cool vibe. For a horror story, just never being allowed to leave your flashlight behind, you just become Alan Wake.
I was thinking the same thing.
Love that. So let's come to that when Garrett starts having memories again. But for now, that's a really good idea. Rowan's just booking into the woods, but we see now Sapphire and William. You're getting into that car, you're packing it up, you're starting the engine, you're both still in a rush as you're trying to get out of this place. When all of a sudden you hear a gunshot go off up into the air. Can you both make sanity rolls again? All right.
So is that not a Rowan roll?
No, Rowan is off in a different location now. So Sapphire and William, you both succeeded. So this gun goes off behind you, and you maybe are turning around to see like where you're going as you're backing the vehicle up out of there, and you can see up at the top of the path, like right at the ridge leading down into the mine, you see a silhouette of somebody holding a pistol up into the air just over their head, firing it directly up, trying to get your attention. Does not appear to be a silhouette you recognize from anyone else here tonight.
Do we see here anything about the crab?
You do not.
Okay.
I'll start driving towards that person.
All right, so
I'd
as
probably
you
roll down the window and like stick my hands up, like don't shoot me kind of deal.
Right. So as you back up towards them, they kind of step off very meticulously towards the side. Like they've gotten their stance a tiny bit low. They're bending their knees more and they're moving very quickly. You can see that they've practiced moving in these kinds of situations a lot, where they have to keep their gun aimed at somebody. They pull their gun down to aim it at your vehicle as they move off to the side, and they're moving so they don't trip over any rocks and stuff. Very professionally. And they're like.
Yeah,
you hear
once we get parallel, window down, just kind of hello.
Yes. So as you get a little closer, you'll hear a woman's voice say to you all, "Yes, stop the vehicle. Please get out of the vehicle. Put your hands on the vehicle."
Okay. He complies.
Yep, same.
All right. So you get out, you step out, you put your hands in the vehicle and turn around. And she doesn't get closer to cuff you or anything. Yes, go ahead.
I'm gonna mutter as I do this, like under my breath, but loud enough that she can hear. If we die from that mutant crab, that's on you then.
I was about to ask you about that. What did you all see here tonight?
Shiny impossible rocks, shiny impossible spaceship, little
got my
gray
brain microwaved too. That happened.
Freed a crab dog on accident because it was supposed to be a dog, and then the aliens turned on us.
Are you all? Are you injured?
I'm not.
My arms are almost broken. Probably have some stress fractures.
My head hurts really bad.
Yeah, that too. Do you know where the other two people went?
There were two more here tonight.
There were.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh,
you know
I
their
have
names.
two of the
One
rocks.
was a farmer guy, and the other looked like a fed of some sort.
You didn't get their names.
Did we get their names?
I'll leave that up to you all. Did you exchange names at any time during the pleasant conversations? I think Richard Dowell would have asked you for them. So
yeah,
if you...
so that was Garrett and Rowan.
Yeah. Yeah, that Garrett kid was not handling it well. Rowan, maybe a little bit better. He disappeared too, though.
Last I saw, he was just running.
Oh, you saw him? Did we see him?
You saw
Well-
him leave the room you were in, but you left the
Yeah.
room far after he got out of the cave. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
He got away from the aliens before we did.
you said you have contaminated material, yes?
Yeah, it's the van that the weird people who pointed guns at us with no warning and explained nothing. It retrieved it from their van. It's still in its housing.
There's also, you know, a whole ass spaceship down in the mine.
Down in the... Fuck.
Yeah, it crashed there.
This is gonna be such a mess. Okay. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it.
Who's we?
You don't need to know.
Great, another one.
Okay, just don't shoot us, okay?
Listen, we need to get you medical attention if you require it. You said you might have fractures?
Yeah, those little fingers thought my bones were gonna just grind into pieces.
The only material you have with you are those... You mentioned you had one thing, yes?
That's all that's in the car. Oh, produces the tool. I have this too. Pried it out of their hands.
Yes. Toss that on the ground.
Yeah, that thing. He tosses it and says, "That thing looks. I didn't." He shot himself in the foot with it.
And something in the vehicle as well? Dump that.
It's in the trunk. It's pretty heavy.
We'll handle it later. You two need to get out of here.
On foot? Or can we take
no.
your car?
You can take your car.
What about my car? Like, is this like an impound lot deal or something, or what?
Yeah, you may take your vehicle, yes.
Oh, okay. Right.
Just take the material out of the trunk. Just slide it on the ground. It doesn't matter. She's clearly like in a hurry trying to get you guys to just do all this quickly.
Just pops the trunk and just hefts the box out. So in that box, there was the one that was already in the van, and there was also a second one that the old man had that we saw, and they took from us when we thought that was what was giving us headaches, so we gave it to them. They were real upset about that.
Yes. We'll do a sweep through the area. You all need to get to a hospital. Make your way to Dartmouth. Ask for Dr. Collins. He'll know.
Oh, okay.
I will say, since I was running on the path, would I have run into these people if they were walking down to the mine?
That is a good question. I'll say the timing works out that you got out of here a little faster. But right now, you, Garrett, are not forming new memories, so we have no idea. But clearly this agent, soldier, guard, whatever officer did not mention Garrett to William and Sapphire, so maybe they just shot Garrett after he failed to comply, and we just don't even know. It's crazy. It could be up in the air. So they help you get the box out of the trunk. They told you where to go, and they're clearly just trying to get you out of the area. They're in a rush trying to get all this stuff done. Now, before you leave, though, you will tell no one about any of what you saw tonight. Are we clear?
I don't think anyone would believe me even if I did.
I roll my eyes but say clear.
Clear. I've got all your license plates written down. We will track you down.
Yeah, shady government agency, spying on everyone. Got it.
It's for your own good.
Heard that one before, too.
I've told people that one before also. Ooh, this is how that feels.
Excellent. So you know the drill. Well, be on your way. And be glad you survived. Never speak of it. Goodbye. And she will turn around, holster her pistol, and walk back towards the mine. A few minutes later, Rowan, you're finally completely out of breath, almost like fainting on the floor, like probably vomiting from just exhaustion of pushing your body way too far, somewhere deep in the forest at this point. And you're in a dark forest late at night, Rowan. This is the kind of situation you were seeing recently. These visions were telling you about the dangers of the woods late at night in these places.
No.
How does Rowan feel at the moment?
Very scared and very tired.
Give me a sanity roll against helplessness. Alright, so you're gonna lose 1 from helplessness, or lose 1 from sanity, and then you can check the helplessness box. I think we just zoom out from that scene as Rowan is just, groaning and maybe crying. Yeah, crying on the floor of the forest.
Poor cow.
Then we see another scene of William and Sapphire making their way to the hospital. We actually we'll skip over you getting to the hospital and getting in and stuff, unless you wanted to have a conversation there.
Sapphire was going to find a parking lot to pull over, and she is going to write down everything she can remember in a notebook.
Okay.
And then hide it.
Sounds good. You scurry
I've
over
done
that
a
way.
similar thing, except I dictated onto a tape recorder.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I love that. You got tapes.
I've got the tapes.
Both record some of your thoughts and then head to the specified hospital, Dartmouth, and we see you. We'll skip over you checking in, and I guess you're in separate vehicles, so you didn't have any conversation on the way there. But since you both asked for Dr. Collins, you're both led into one of those larger hospital rooms where they have a lot of beds together, and then there are those curtains they can pull between them, and the curtains are open between your 2 beds, but the rest of the beds in the room are closed. Actually, no, we'll say this is an otherwise empty room. All of those curtains are open, and you can verify that the beds don't have anyone in them. And Dr. Collins is a pretty old doctor. He's almost entirely bald. He's just got little wispy patches around the side of his head, but the top of his head is completely shiny bald. And he's got a little bit of kind of scruffy facial hair, mostly under his chin, kind of neck beardy, but it's not even thick enough to be called a neck beard. And he wears these thick rimmed glasses, and he's of course in your doctor's robes and stuff. And he's got a clipboard. He finally walks into the room after the nurses have set you up in here. So, you asked for me in particular. It's not common.
Some secret agent lady told us to.
Don't
Couldn't tell us anything about who she was or where she was from, but she told us to come here.
I am the last person you will say that to. Yes? Yes.
Sure.
Good. We understand each other.
Sure.
Now, he starts going down a list of questions, asking you, where does it hurt? Trying to diagnose you, trying to figure out all this stuff, asking about the pain in your head you were experiencing, all these things. And over the course of this, can you both give me a int roll? So Sapphire, you might be in a little too much pain to fully track this, and you're kind of exhausted and just happy to be receiving some medical treatment, and hopefully you'll feel better soon, all of that. But William, you're a little more suspicious. You've got your eye on things here, and you feel like a lot of these questions are a little bit off topic. They're a little bit weird. They're phrased in ways you normally wouldn't ask somebody you're trying to treat for an issue. And you almost feel like you're not really being diagnosed so much as examined, like a lab rat. But you do receive medical treatment. You are given painkillers and so on. They manage to examine Sapphire's arms and make sure that, maybe you do have some slight fractures, but, they're not broken. You're not in any, just take it easy and you'll probably be fine. Maybe one of your arms is a little worse than the other and you might have to wear that one in a sling for a bit, that kind of thing. But, nothing too crazy. And we end that scene and we see Garrett. Garrett, you suddenly come to consciousness, but you don't wake up. It's more like you snap into reality, fully awake, instantly. It is pretty much noon. You're not sure what day it is. You're not sure where you are. I'll give you some agency over where Garrett ended up, because it's your character, and even if you can't form short-term memories, you've got some instincts, you've got some ideas, and things like that. Some personality traits that don't just go away when your memory fades. In 12 hours, where did Garrett end up? A gas station somewhere? A truck stop? Did he,
Honestly, it could be anywhere. But I feel like, given the fact that he's an intelligence analyst and is good at trying to make sense of stuff, the first thing he would do is open his notebook.
So,
and
I will just add, before you mention anything about the notebook, you wake up from this situation and your last memory is not actually even of seeing the octahedron and going into it and stuff. Your last memory is of being inside the log cabin with the whole microwave situation. You didn't form any memories beyond that point. But yes, continue with the rest of your explanations.
Yeah, so he would probably reach into his backpack and take out his notebook, and it honestly is just scribbles and just like a lot of the same words over and over again. Probably like flashlight, running, flashlight, running, and it looks like a madman did it. And maybe every now and then he wrote like tree, house, mailbox. And like he's flipping through, and it's probably 20 or 30 pages of just scribbles.
I love that. Give me a sanity roll against helplessness. All right. So you manage to hold it together. You don't panic or anything. But this is a very weird situation you find yourself in. Let's say you are like at a truck stop somewhere, like a rest stop. Just like you find yourself just suddenly woken up like in like the food court type area of like a truck stop somewhere. It's like where all the little fast food joints are that you can go and grab whatever food is your fancy of today. You're just seated at a table. You don't have any food with you. You're covered in mud and stuff, and people are just kind of giving you a wide area as they walk around you, and you just have this notebook. And I think we zoom out of that scene once again. And then in the blackness between scenes, we see some words pop up. 6 months later. You all are out and about doing something. Each of you doing something different. Maybe you're at a restaurant. Maybe you're out grocery shopping. How about we go down the list and just see what like a random normal scene in everyone's lives where they would be out in a pretty public situation would be. Let's start with Sapphire.
I mean, Sapphire runs a bookstore.
Oh, perfect. Absolutely.
She would be in the bookstore running shop.
So we see Sapphire in the bookstore. Where would Garrett be 6 months later in a very public place?
In a very public place, I feel like he probably would have just gone back to work. So he's sitting at like a cubicle with a ton of people. At their cubicles.
That might not be public enough because you worked in intelligence, right? I'm thinking like a publicly accessible, like a true public place. like a grocery store, a restaurant, or out filling
Like
your car with
park bench
gas.
kind of deal.
Park bench, yeah, exactly.
I feel like it would be
Somewhere-
pretty interesting. It's a truck stop, almost like the one he found himself at
Oh, okay.
6 months prior.
Interesting. I like that.
Just kind of like a repeated habit.
And just out of curiosity, do you think you're going to go with the flashlight thing now that you've got memories again?
I think so, yeah.
All right, cool. So you got the flash. Yeah, maybe you woke up with only the flashlight and this notebook, and you're like, "Oh, this flashlight saved me." So you're at that truck stop. Where would Rowan be out in a public place?
Rowan is at the general supply store getting groceries and supplies. He's got very deep rings under his eyes, so he has not been sleeping well lately. He wanders over to the fridge. He stares for a very long time at all the very cheap alcohol there. He says, "Not today, friend." And he turns around and goes to the counter and slowly pays for his supplies.
Ooh, all right. Where's William at?
I think William is probably in a park or something, probably following up on a lead. He's probably with his partner. Just kind of working a case, but out in a public place, looking for someone.
All right, so yeah, just looking for leads, looking for details.
Yeah.
So I think there's a particular opportune moment where you and your partner split up for something, and so you're left alone, maybe looking for clues somewhere. And this scene is going to be a little weird, but picture it like a TV show a little bit here with me, as we're going to montage between each of you as you all have a conversation with a character, and you can't hear each other, but we'll just assume you all asked similar questions and got similar answers, if that makes any sense. But we'll kind of rapid fire through, and you can ask questions of this person. But you are
Nick
approached.
Fury scene.
Yes, exactly. As the same NPC approaches all of you in different public locations. Yeah, your Nick Fury scene. A very well dressed African American woman approaches you. Maybe we'll start with Sapphire's bookstore. She's wearing a sort of maybe a slightly outdated fashion, but very, very fashionable. And Sapphire, you recognize her voice from that night, the person that stopped you from driving away originally, fired that gun in the air to get your attention. Her hair is tied back into a bunch of different braids that are then all kind of like pushed backwards as well, so they're all like tight braids pulled back together. And she's wearing a like kind of outdated, very fancy, almost like professional business type dress. Like it's kind of that like maybe 80s vibe with like the bigger shoulders kind of deal, you know, almost looks like a suit type material, but it's a dress. And she's got a fairly large hat on with these big flowers. Like she's just got this eccentric style. Everything is like teal, very bright colors. And she walks into your store, and she probably fits right in with the vibe of the bookstore, the like occult type bookstore you're running here. There's probably like, I think you described it before as having like crystals and stuff everywhere, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's a new age occult, kind of your local indie bookstore with crystals and all sorts of tabloids about conspiracy theories.
So she'll come right up to the counter, and we'll say it's a perfect moment where no other customers are in the shop. And hello, you can call me Grace.
Nice to meet you again, Grace. How can I help you?
And then we'll snap to Garrett, who Grace has just sat down at the table in front of you. And she will pass you a newspaper, Garrett, that has like it's actually like a clipping of a newspaper, I guess I should say, that has an obituary section, which contains Matilda Dowell dying of a heart attack. Hand it over to you and say, "You're in danger."
I would
Yeah.
I probably have my notebook with me, and I would open it to all the scribbles, and it's like, does it have anything to do with this?
Huh. Quite possibly, yes. And then we'll snap to Rowan, who she'll just find you between some aisles at the store, maybe. And like in this one particular aisle where no one else is at the moment, she'll stop you and introduce herself and all that. And she has handed you the same newspaper at this point.
Hi. So I guess I didn't just hallucinate all of that.
No, you did not.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can do that again. Why are you talking to me? It doesn't matter. Just whatever's gonna happen, just let it happen.
Well, first we want more information. That's what we want. But second, well, we think we can offer protection. In a manner of sorts. But it won't come free. Snap to William as she's telling you these same things, the same newspaper.
So that's the loose end, huh?
Indeed.
Great.
You help us, we'll help you stay alive.
Well, I guess that's it then.
You don't have any other questions?
Well, what the hell was that octagon thing? Do we know anything about it? Has anyone ever seen any like that before?
Well, honestly, when you start dealing with these things, the less you know sometimes the better. Unless some things have been deemed more critical by the higher-ups, things you need to know. And if you ever do need to know that, we'll let you know.
Okay. What do you need me to do?
And we'll snap back to Sapphire, as Grace is answering a similar question. You will work with us. Join our faction. She'll wave her hands in the air a little bit in like a almost sarcastic gesture, like the secret government agency you were talking about before.
I have one more question. Did you ever find the crab thing?
No. She has a long pause
Follow-up.
before she says that, though.
Does this have anything to do with the crab thing?
We will let you know when you need to know.
Sounds about right.
What was that first set of people out there? I assume they were with you. What were they supposed to be doing? Did they fail?
They're a faction of the intelligence community that they've got more ambition than sense.
So they stuck the fork in the light socket, huh?
Precisely.
It's what it looked like. What happened to them?
They were there testing weapons to use against aliens.
They worked
Obviously,
pretty well on themselves.
Quite. At this point, if anyone wants to jump into questions, we can just shift the scene around.
So you're saying you can protect me?
Well, you'll need to do some protecting of yourself, of course, but yes, you will be granted our resources and the protection of myself and those I work with.
Are you offering me a job?
Yes.
Alright, I guess I accept that.
Good. It's not one that'll make it onto your resume, though.
Oh.
But
can I think about it? Never mind, except
Good.
How much of a time commitment is this going to be? Because I still do have this shop. This is my life. I built it from the ground up.
Oh, you'll still need this life. This is a job, but the reward is staying alive and keeping the world intact. Making sure it all doesn't go to shit.
Ah, clandestine hero.
Quite.
Well, since I have you here, can I interest you in an amethyst?
I think she'll give a puzzled look, but then give in to that. Yeah, she'll join you for some stuff around the store.
Yeah. Basically, interspersed with whatever questions we all ask, I'm going to be salespersoning her.
Absolutely.
William will probably also start pressing her about the events around his own hometown, and if whoever she works with knew anything about that.
Events around his hometown, you said?
This was the events with the cave that the kids went missing in for multiple days and then showed up randomly.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry, this isn't the kind of organization where we give out details on previous cases. It's for your own good.
Even though I was there, part of it.
Indeed. If you need to know,
Right.
you will be let know. Information can be power, but it can also be danger.
It can also be closure, but okay.
It can also be danger. Just like nods, kind of. As she nods, like you can see her eyes kind of unfocus a little bit. She's clearly remembering something she probably doesn't want to remember right now, but yes, information can be dangerous. Did Garrett have any more questions, or is Garrett just kind of going along with it?
Oh, Garrett is probably definitely staring off into the distance and kind of like
Sir.
keeps not focusing, and he's just like, I know you said that the less you know, the better, but all I remember about that night is there was a rock, and I've been trying to piece it together, but
Honestly,
to this day, all I have is this notebook.
You were quite lucky.
Could it be worse?
Oh, yes. Make no mistake, what you're signing up for is not an easy path.
Well, I guess it's better than not knowing.
Very well. I think at this point she'll get up from all these scenes unless anyone has any other last minute questions for her.
I mean, I'd probably sprinkle in some like workers' rights questions. What's the pay? What's the compensation?
None and none. None and none. No insurance. No vacation days. Sorry.
Vacation days is death.
Exactly.
And also just like chatting her up like I would a normal customer.
Yes, I think at a certain point another customer comes in and then she finishes buying. She like grabs something random on the counter and like finishes a checkout with you and then just leaves, like waving to you, being friendly on her way out for the the other customer to see. But she'll say to all of you as she leaves, "We'll be in touch." Throw that out. So we zoom back out.
Say something like, "You know where to find me if you want more."
Yes, of course. So we zoom out of all of these scenes as you've all been left with this strange conundrum, but you've all seemingly signed up for this weird thing. You're not even sure what you signed up for, but they'll be in touch, so it'll be fine. And now we have one last thing to do tonight. It's a very fun thing. And
sanity rolls?
One last sanity roll for the group is correct. This one is a little different, though. Don't worry.
Uh-oh, I failed.
Yes. So now that things are calm, You've all experienced quite some crazy things, and you've experienced them together for the large part. Those of you who failed, which I guess is just Rowan and Sapphire, you don't lose any sanity. However, all of you form a new bond with each other Delta Green teammate that you went on this mission with. So only those two of you, so Sapphire and Rowan, you each get 3 new bonds, one for each of the other characters in the party. And those bonds start at half your charisma score instead of the full charisma score. As you've all... these relationships, even though extremely brief, have all been like stuck into your head with the wedge of this violent, helpless, and unnatural trauma of that night. And so these people won't be it's a very one-sided bond, right? These, especially with like Rowan to William passed the check, so William doesn't have a new bond. So like Rowan has this weird attachment to William that is one-sided, and so on. For all of you that failed, a bit of a weird situation, but you can project onto these bonds.
Write out in text how this bond is going to get added.
Yeah, sorry. I can also just walk through it step by step here. Rowan, you failed. So you're going to add 3 new bonds. Okay. Garrett, William, and Sapphire. Each at half of your charisma instead of your full charisma. And then Sapphire will do the same, just obviously swap your own character in for Rowan. You'll get Rowan, Garrett, and William as 3 new bonds. So yay, new bonds!
Woo!
Trauma bonding.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Anything for succeeding?
For succeeding, no, you're fine. These are not particularly healthy relationships that have just formed, is what you get for succeeding, is you avoid that side of the toxicity a little bit. As your sanity drains, forming these bonds
just can't remember us.
Yes, exactly. Garrett doesn't even remember you all.
He probably doesn't even remember introducing.
No, I remember everything. The last thing I remember is getting microwaved.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even think... Would I know the people that showed up?
Yeah. You would have known the 2 owners of the place and all the other player characters who were there.
I mean the people with guns that showed up.
Oh yes, yeah, you would remember. I mean, you didn't really even see their faces to remember them, but you would remember that they were there. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like
basically all the shit went down at like midnight, and your memory only goes up to 11:30. Basically, like you only lost like that last
okay.
But yeah, so a bunch of new bonds for you all, and you can project onto them as normal, but the fun part about these bonds is they're other player characters, so when you project onto those bonds, it's gonna mean instant dramatic relationship issues in the party. That's fun. Goody. But you can spend time patching up those relationships and stuff too. That's all options, but it's just fun to start this process off once you get it on your first mission. And the last order of business for the night, I guess I said last already, but second to last, the last order of business for tonight is to let you all know, over the next few months, your characters will be receiving more communication from Delta Green, and you're going to form a new Delta Green cell, H cell. So all of you will need code names that start with the letter H.
All right.
You can spend your time cooking up those code names by next week. And then next week we'll start with downtime, so definitely get me those bond ideas so I can cook them up a little bit. And yeah, good stuff.
Wait, what downtime? Where's that in the thing?
We'll do downtime next week. We'll just go through it. It'll be like a couple scenes per character as we go through like stuff with your families and things like that.
I've got most of my bond stuff in my physical description notes. I do need to fully expand the remaining bond.
Sounds good. Yeah, no super rush. Just if you can get them to me by next week so I can have a second to look them over first, that would be great.
And that'll deal with like resetting HP and sanity and dealing with skill stuff. All of that's going to happen next week.
Everyone can just go ahead and reset HP at this point. That's probably fine. I think the rule for that is like it's either every day or every week that you're not being like crazy strenuous and you have decent care. You just heal 1 HP point automatically, or HP automatically, I guess. And since this is over the course of months, you'll definitely be healed up.
It's already been 6 months.
Exactly, yeah. So you'll probably be fully healed. And you didn't go beneath half your hit points, so you have no permanent injury, which is good. That complicates things.
All of my bonds should be fully described, so if there's anything else I need to do,
All right.
let me know. But I did a lot of that.
I'll be looking over stuff and I'll send out reminders and things. But yeah, thank you all. We finished our first scenario of I won't give you the count, that's spoilers. But the first scenario is done. You're all officially dealt the green agents, and we can kick this shit off for real. Yay!
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 Yay! We all broke sanity.
Yes, yay! More trauma. Woo!
Woo!
Did anybody not get past their breaking point?
Nope.
Nope.
Wow.
Let's go.
I barely. I almost made it without. I'm 2 under. I'm 1 under my old breaking point now. So
I am exactly at my breaking point.
Oh, if
you didn't lose any sense. Nice.
Oh yeah, you lost it. You broke it, but you haven't got any more sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So you should reset your breaking point to your current score, your old breaking point minus your power, and that'll be your new breaking point.
Yeah, I hit the reset button, and it's
perfect.
now at 33.
Excellent. So we'll catch up next week for more Dealt the Green. Thank y'all for playing.
Woo! Thank you very much for running.